They and we are having a ball at this year's Thriftway ATP Championship. Pete Sampras had a ball in the first half of 1993. He won 4 tournaments, including the Lipton Championships, over Malavia, Washington in the final. He also won Sydney, Tokyo, and Hong Kong, and he became the world's #1 player in April. Then there was Wimbledon. Sampras validated his #1 ranking by beating Jim Courier in the grand old dam of tennis tournaments. In fact, Sampras is looking increasingly comfortable as the world's premier player. He's the defending champion of this major event, and today he takes on fellow American Aaron Krickstein in a rain-delayed third-round match. They'll be swinging into action on a busy day on the courts in suburban Cincinnati next. This event is part of the IBM ATP Tour Championship Series. It is stop #7, also known as the Super 9, leading up to finals in Frankfurt and the doubles in Johannesburg. We're at the Thriftway ATP Championships here in Cincinnati. Actually, it's Mason, Ohio, the Jack Nicklaus Sports Center. Third round men's singles. Today, Pete Sampras, the top player in the world, takes on Aaron Krickstein, also of the USA. The weather is a lot better today than it was yesterday. There are still some clouds in the sky, and as you can see, some breeze as you take a look at this live picture. It is 75 degrees, port temperature about 76, and the humidity 82%. Mostly cloudy, as we said, but it looks like the rain is going to stay away from today, and this tournament really needs it to, because we lost the entire day yesterday to rain. Some earlier round matches that were played today. Stefan Edberg over Ferreira of South Africa, 6-4 and 6-2. That match started at 10 o'clock today. Brad Gilbert also started at 10 o'clock today, and he beat Alexander Volkov after losing the first set. He often does that. Then he won the next 2 easily. Meanwhile, Michael Stieck of Germany, a winner over Australia's Mark Woodford, easily 6-3, 6-3. Michael Stieck looking good. And Andre Agassi earlier today had very little trouble, although the first set was a long one, with Doug Flack of the USA, a man who has done very well here. Fine young players. Let's take a look at the draw as it stands now. Sampras and Krickstein is the match that you will watch. Medvedev will take on Steve Bryan, another surprise here today. Edberg is through so far. Gilbert, as we've already said, has also won his match. Bottom half, Andre Agassi is through to the last 8. Michael Stieck is as well. Matches to be played. Michael Chang taking on Jamie Morgan. In fact, they're playing now. Jan Siemerink and Jason Stoltenberg as well. Our feature match today, of course, is coming up. Warm greetings to everybody. I'm Cliff Drysdale along with Fred Stolle and Vitas Gerulaitis. Yesterday was an easy day for the players. Unfortunately, it was a forced layoff because of the weather. That means, Fred Stolle, that today they're going to have to double up matches. So it is going to be a very busy day by contrast to yesterday. How does that affect the players? How does it affect the tournament?
Well, it doesn't happen very often to them, Cliff, but here it's only best of 3 sets. It's not as though they're playing a Grand Slam championship where it's best of 5 sets. I think the boys are fit enough, because they're getting ready for the US Open, that this shouldn't bother them. After a couple of weeks on the hard courts, they should be fit enough. It has been warm weather the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately for Paul Flory, yesterday it was one of the first days it's been rained out since he's been running the tournament.
Talking about fit players, I suppose Pete Sampras is one of those who's fit enough to play 2 matches today. Fred, he's got an electric kind of game. He's got a tremendously big serve, more aces than anybody else on the tour by a long way. He's the #1 player in the world. He's in our feature match today.
Well, Cliff, he's won 5 tournaments this year, one at the Lipton at Key Biscayne, and also, of course, the big one at Wimbledon. When he went to Canada the first time back on tour after that victory, he wasn't too sharp. I think he's keen to do well, and he's my pick to win the tournament. If he serves well here, Krickstein's going to have a lot of trouble with him. The courts are fast, but, of course, today is a rather dull day, so conditions may be a little slower.
I have always thought about Aaron Krickstein, Fred, that anybody that he plays against is in for a rough match. Pete Sampras, of course, is the top player in the world, but what kind of an opportunity do you think Vitas Gerulaitis that Aaron Krickstein has today?
Well, when Aaron Krickstein is healthy, he's one heck of a player. Unfortunately, for most of his career, he has had a numerous amount of injuries. Once again, he's coming off an ankle injury, started at the Lipton. He's had some spotty results. He reached the finals of one event, semifinals of another, quarterfinals last week in Los Angeles. And unfortunately, Pete Sampras has so much firepower that I think it's going to be tough for a guy like Krickstein to really do too much, especially on the quick court. But at this time of the year, as we know, Aaron Krickstein always plays well at Flushing Meadows, and this is the same type of court. So I don't think it's going to be real easy for Pete Sampras.
All right, well, we'll find out. It's going to be Pete Sampras and Aaron Krickstein in our feature match. There are a lot of other matches going on here today, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Our coverage of the tennis today is being brought to you by IBM. There's never been a better time to do business with IBM. And by the #1 name in racket sports, Prince, in love with the game. So it's Pete Sampras today, again, the #1 player in the world, and he'll take on Aaron Krickstein on a comeback year, and he's playing well after this.
When I hit #1 for the first time, it was like totally overwhelming. The media requests, and Johnny Carson would like you on his show, David Letterman would like you on his show. I just don't have the time for this stuff. I got to play tennis too. But you have to squeeze it in. Everyone's nipping at your heels. That's the beauty of being #1. You got to do what you got to do.
At the Thriftway ATP Championships every year, they give a medallion award for service to tennis. Fred Solly's been aggravated that he has never got that award. He is no longer aggravated because this year he did get it. Here's Paul Flory.
It is with a great deal of pleasure and honor that I am able to give our medallion award to Fred Solly.
Congratulations, Fred, from Vidas and myself for getting this award. Some of the other players who have got this award, including Tony Trabert in 1981, Hamilton Jordan, the ATP executive director for a while, Labour and Rosewall, and then finally the fiery one, Fred Solly. Not a bad likeness, Fred, but I'm not sure you should.
No, that's what I said. I said to the artist, I said, you can't believe that you give me a bigger nose than Rod Laver. I know that's not true. And Rocket sort of got a couple of laughs out of that one, and you're on that award list there as well.
And that's the thing that really bothered you. Not that you have never received it, but that Cliff received it before you. I know that's really bothered you, Fred, but congratulations anyway.
Yeah.
I can't either.
Thank you.
Pete Sampras is the #1 player in the world. He's 22. As a matter of fact, he had his birthday yesterday. Spent most of the day watching the PGA Championships because, like so many of the other tennis players in the business, he's an enthusiastic golfer as well. He's from Washington, D.C., now from Tampa, Florida. Over just short of $6 million in career prize money. Of course, he is also a big endorsement object. He's the #1 player in the world, so probably have made more money off the court than on the court. As we said, the #1 ranked player in the business. Aaron Krickstein is a veteran, although he, so many of the titles, the things that they say about him, Fred, that he was the youngest to do this and the youngest to do that. He's 26 years old now, and he was born in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and he still lives up in that, he still lives in that area, but has also spent some time down in Florida, doesn't he?
Yes, well, he's engaged to his coach's sister now, Terry Goldfine. Dean Goldfine has been his coach for a number of years, and Aaron wants to get back in the top 10. He's injury-free right now, and but a little bit of inside information. A bit silly. You see that on the thumb of his left hand there. I was just talking to him in the locker room before he went out there. He was re-gripping rackets after a practice session this morning, and they put the tape around the rackets, and he stuck the pair of scissors through his thumb. And so you can see, he said it's a little painful, but he's got to have a tetanus shot when this match is finished. Said it shouldn't hinder his two-handed backhand, but it's a little tender. But that left thumb there that you can see taped was just a careless mistake when he was trying to fix his rackets up.
A very talented player, Fred, but there's always something wrong with him.
Sampras leads the head-to-head 2-1. The two times that Sampras won, though, they were won in a third-set tiebreaker. In fact, match points against Sampras in those two. So it has been very close between these two. Very close.
And I think Aaron's the type of player that gets up for the top players. Really plays some of his best tennis against the top-ranked.
The thing about his game, guys, is that he's got such a big margin for error. We were talking about other players like Sampras, at least, not so much as Sampras, but guys like Jim Courier, for example. But he is one who has a very big margin for error, doesn't he?
He does have, and he can loop that forehand, and now I think he's got to try and get into the same vein as as an Agassi or a Courier and start trying to hit winners from the centre of the court, because basically he invented it a few years ago. But not, of course, with the same power.